Hey everybody, I'm Revengeance and welcome here for our retry on the second episode of American Horror Story, The Morning After. I'm joined this week with my special co-host, Johnny B. Crazy. Johnny, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me on. Very excited to talk about this show. And man, there's some crazy stuff going on. Let's see if we can figure out and piece together this riddle that is American Horror Story.
Yeah, it definitely is very interesting. We've got a lot of ideas about what exactly is going on, what we think is going to happen, what happened this episode. We're going to definitely talk about and kind of get into some theories and see what you guys think about what's happening. We'll go ahead and start off with how it all just began. This episode, we had Emily starting off by finding snakes in her closet. Which was kind of funny, because we were talking about the whole Garden of Eden theme with her and Timothy. So it looks like she is going to be playing the part of Eve. And then we had Amazon Eve from Freak Show walk in on her and Timothy whenever they found it. That was kind of an interesting take there with the whole snakes, huh, Johnny?
Yeah, also, you have to remember that rarely are there good guys on American Horror Story. You usually think they're good at some point. So I would like to say that they are Adam and Eve, but in a dark mirror aspect or a black mirror aspect. I, I see Timothy as being the most innocent one, but we don't know anything about his past. We only know he's been swept up. And we know Tate seemed pretty innocent for a while. And other people seemed innocent for a while, like in Hotel. Can't remember what's his name. But yeah, I think that kind of plays to the thing, and we'll see where the snakes come from later in the episode. I had to pause it, but yeah. Um, I don't know. I think that they're definitely Adam and Eve, and there's a reason that Michael Langdon's mad about the procreation rule or the non-sex rule, and I think there's a reason they're paired together. I mean, for sure.
Well, we did find out that that was actually one of Miss Venable's rules. She's the one that kind of made that up, or at least she claims that she got it from someone else and was ordered to destroy it once she ordered or got that directive. And Michael claims that he was in charge of directives and he never seen it or knew anything about it. So where did the no sex rule come into play to begin with? And if you think about it, if they've been there for 18 months, that's at least one baby and another one could be on the way by now. You know, that's close to 2 pregnancies that we could be into. Um, so as far as trying to continue the whole human race or whatever they are, if they have other DNA at least, um, that's something that could be explored, because if they're not doing anything, what's going to happen as far as continuing the human race? Or are they just trying to conserve, that's a whole nother line that we could go into there.
Yeah,
But
can
it
I say
seems that,
something real quick?
yeah, go ahead, go
Is
ahead.
the rubber man collecting the DNA?
Yeah, that puts a whole new term on the word rubbers there, don't it? um, oh Lord. um, yeah, and that brings, yeah, he was talking about he had his own way to collect from the men too. They just hadn't found a way for the women to carry yet. They still needed them, at least as far as carrying children. So that's interesting in itself. That made me think of that they're trying to figure out a way to procreate without women having to carry. So are they trying to do like test tube babies or something like that going on?
Okay, let's get into this real quick. Okay, so we can kind of assume either the Rubber Man is a projection or a spirit, kind of like Tate was in the first season of American Horror Story, or he could be Satan himself. Um, but let's get into this whole the Antichrist of Michael Langdon and what this really kind of seems to be all about. Now, is it because we're seeing what's going on, and you're talking about the procreation. What are they trying to procreate? They don't have. It seems like he's trying to bring the worst out in people, as in a terms, in a sense of trying to recruit, and he's looking for certain qualities. And I believe Emily has one of those qualities. You know, if you're looking to repopulate the earth, and if what's happening is what I think's happening, that the Antichrist is preparing for his father to come back to reign for 1,000 years on earth until he gets cast back down. That's kind of what I think's happening. I could be crazy, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Ree?
No, I think that's very interesting. And you are a little crazy. That's why you're Johnny be crazy. But no, I do like the whole 1,000 year reign thing. We were talking about the pilots disappearing too, which we'll get into that. But let's address the elephant in the room with the whole Michael Langdon Antichrist thing. Now we do know in Murder House that Michael Langdon is the son of Vivian, and who was the human, and the spirit of Tate Langdon. And at the end of Murder House, we had Constance Langdon, who was his grandmother, who was raising him, and we seen a 3-year-old Michael at the end of it, where he killed his nanny, babysitter, whatever you want to call her, and the proud grandma, who came back from getting her hair done and seen 3-year-old Michael and sitting in the chair all bloody and everything. And that's how we ended Murder House. Um, and they talked about the Pope's box in Murder House, and it revealed the nature of the Antichrist and how he would be born of spirit and man. So they've already led on that, yes, this is going to be Michael Langdon. And the in the Pope's box also that it was full of joy and sorrow, because basically he would be so beautiful. And we see that he is very beautiful. I mentioned before that he would fit very well with Anne Rice's characters of the Vampire Chronicles and Lestat and all because of that. I don't know if you've ever got into those, but he really would fit because of that beauty. Um, and I think that's kind of going to fit with his manipulation powers. We already seen how Mr. Gallant, I'll call him Gallant, so bear with me. But we already seen how he has already kind of fell for his charm and went from just being interviewed by him to being seduced by him, and fell under his spell. Now, Constance, too, I definitely think that she is a witch. There's nothing can convince me otherwise. Um, and so that makes me think too that Michael definitely has some kind of powers as well, just from that line, you know. And then we see him actually manifest some powers by the handcuffs that he drops from Gallant
He
when he
doesn't open
was
doors with
strapped
his
up.
hands either, if you've noticed. Doors
Yeah,
just open. Um,
yeah, it's like
I
everything is just kind of going for him. Even the horses, whenever he arrived in the carriage, who was driving the carriage? Nobody was.
what if
Um, and
the
the
Rubber
mental
Man? Oh,
projection,
sorry.
you know, I mean, I don't think that was just fantasy, you know, it was kind of,
I got
even
an
at,
idea about
whenever,
that when you're
yeah,
talking. Like, I think, what if Tate's attached to him being his father? Like, you still have Satan being his real father, but the mother and father were supposed to be spirit and whatnot. What if Tate's attached to him in a sense that Michael could possibly manipulate him? Because I think we're going to get the arrival of someone new. And I think maybe that's going to be Satan. And maybe the rubber man could be Tate. That would be a twist. But I don't see how they could do it with, Mr. Gallant looking so much like Tate. Like, the only thing they really changed was his hair and how he acts. Like, in other seasons, they have, did different makeup and brought people in. So, I, I don't know. It would be really cool if somehow he was attached. But I don't know. I'm sorry.
Well, we do know that we will see Tate this season. That's already been confirmed. But Tate is attached to Murder House. The way I kind of, and as far as Tate actually just being the rubber man, see, I kind of got ideas about this. Now, where we were talking about the whole, the Satan thing being, I think that that's kind of going to be more directed towards just Tate. And like, we were talking about with Tate earlier, Tate seemed very innocent. And then it was kind of like he was taken over in Murder House. And it seems like maybe Satan or the devil or whatever you want to call him would be more associated with the rubber man suit. And then we had Michael this episode talk about, I don't know what you were talking about. I never have been to your room. Maybe it's more kind of the devil is in the rubber suit instead of like Tate was in season 1, or maybe Michael is in this season. So maybe that's the devil kind of manifesting in the rubber suit, you know?
Yeah, I could also see that him not being stuck at the murder house as well and being stuck with Michael, um, and still be going through the back and forth of being like possibly wanting to help his son, like he helped what's her name try to get back the baby for so many years, try to get her baby. Like when he did that, like there's other things he did that weren't for the purpose of making the Antichrist as well. So he was evil too. He wasn't just like he remembered the stuff about the manipulation of trying to get the babies, but the stuff he didn't seem to remember was raping and all that. But I don't know. It's hard to dissect that, but I still think he's connected somehow and possibly helping
Well,
in a way.
no, you're actually, I can see where you're going with this. And he did tell Violet too that, well, he didn't tell Violet, he told the girlfriend about Violet that he would work for her forgiveness if it took forever. So what better way to earn her forgiveness than with reining Michael in, basically, or getting him to fall in line, or whatever, however you want to look at it, that would be a really good way to do it, though, is through Michael, because that is Vivian's son as well. And we're also going to see Vivian. We're also going to see Ben. I don't know if they're going to actually, I know we'll see, it does say actually that we will see Violet. I'm looking at it now. So I guess she's going to play Violet and Zoe this season. So we will see it to some degree. So how they're going to bring in the murder house people, the ghosts from there, is kind of interesting. I do know that we only see Constance on episode 6 this season. So I don't know if they're going to kind of bring the rest of them in other than that episode, or if all of them will just be on the episode. And maybe, like, because I'm thinking it might be, okay, we know that next episode will be All Hallows Eve. My first impression was maybe that the spirits would walk free on that day, because we know that they can. We've seen it in Hotel that they go just wherever they want to with all the serial killers and all, where they had kind of their little dinner on Hotel. But now I'm wondering, because we will see Billie Dean Howard, if maybe she's going to do some kind of seance thing. That was my other idea, and call upon those spirits to do something involving Michael and get him under control. Or even the witches. Maybe the witches can do something to get them spirits there. But it's got to be something. I think it's got to do something maybe with the blood ties to them. That still leaves the question of, what does it have to do with Emily and Timothy and the whole DNA involving them? And why is he the one that's there to judge everybody? I mean, being who he is and everything still doesn't explain why he's the one there, you know?
Yeah, I don't even think he's judging. I think he's preparing them to. I think it's like all not a test, but like a training thing. Um, I think we're gonna find out more people are replicas, more of these purples. Um,
Oh,
uh,
like Miriam?
yeah, maybe even you know, I think Miss Venable might be real, but I think maybe even a lot of these. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think we're gonna have some hidden ones other than the ones we think are obvious. And I think maybe Timothy and Emily are possibly connected to it. Maybe they are synthetics trying to procreate, or maybe that's what they want them to do. I don't know if that makes sense. It just depends. I'm trying to think of what their end goal could be, but maybe to segue for a second while we're thinking about it, let's talk about if Michael used his blood in that ritual when he called the snakes and when he called the rubber man. Ain't that kind of close to the beginning, or is that am I
Oh,
getting too
yeah.
far ahead?
No, when the snakes appeared and then they showed up again in the soup. And the kind of funny part about that with the snakes are known for their symbolism with rebirth, and they're also a symbolism or symbol of fertility. So that's kind of interesting with whose room they showed up in the first place, especially with the whole sex scene later on between them two, because they finally kind of decide to do it. And she is, again, the one tempting him and playing that whole Eve role again.
Well, what
I
is
know
the
I keep
original
going
sin,
back to that.
right?
Right. It is. It's the whole original sin again.
The thing
That
about it is
seems to be a lingering thing.
the knowledge of God or the knowledge of someone above you, which I would say Michael would think he's a god. If he's the
Well,
Antichrist, he would definitely think he is a god or the son of a god. So, them finding the laptop was definitely like but it's purposeful. He's wanting them to find this. Um, that's why I'm saying I think he's grooming them because he's watching. I think he's using whatever he did in the séance or the ritual he did. Because the interesting thing is it wasn't even an inverted pentagram. It was a regular pentagram. Did you notice that? It wasn't even inverted.
yeah, I
Um,
did. That goes back to the whole witches thing, because a lot of people think
right.
that that's an evil symbol, and it's really not. It's not
No.
evil at all. If it would have been inverted, I would have thought twice, like you said. That's a good
Yeah.
point. I'm glad you caught that.
It's just the five elements is what the actual pagan symbols.
Right, right. That's exactly what it is. And then with the circle is how they come together. It's the elements joined together.
Like it didn't look to me like he used his own blood in that ceremony as well. That's what I'm wondering
No.
where he got the blood from. Uh, and then we see the snake sprout forth, which the snake represents also the devil in many aspects, even though in the older literature it's just a serpent, and that's why the serpent lost its legs and will forever be on the ground because of the knowledge it had given to Adam and Eve. But that just depends on which canon you're reading, actually. So I'm not going to get on into all of that. But they seem to be using different parts of stuff and mixing it around, and we have the circular
I like
symbol. Everything's circular, mimicking the circles of hell. I think every episode we're gonna get a sin um, themed episode. This one being like lust, probably. We could go a different way, but I think that's kind of how it's gonna go. But I don't know. Go ahead with your thoughts. I've been
no, actually that's kind of interesting. And they did that in Hotel with the Ten Commandments killer, remember? And that guy's name was John that you were thinking about, that seemed like he was all innocent and everything that turned out not to be. Um the guy with the little vampire kids. Yeah. Um, and we had also too where you're talking about the circles and everything. Me and you were talking about earlier that the building actually is very reminiscent of the sacred geometry again, and the whole pi thing comes into play. And I just wonder how much of it. I wonder because I've been to like certain places that are considered vortexes and stuff because of just where they're at and special properties because of magnetic fields and everything. It made me think of one of those places, and they're usually circular buildings and dome shapes. And this building just made me think of it, and I wonder if it has something to do with that sort of property,
Like
maybe like
they're
the
not in
vibrations
hell,
off of it.
but like they're in an alternate realm, like the ether or purgatory, maybe.
Right, right. And I've even questioned if the apocalypse is even happening for anybody else in the world, or is it just for these people? Or like, are they the only ones that have seen what they see, or is it cloaked for them? Like the whole fog around the place could just be a cloak. It could be just to screw with their minds.
Well, I think the fog is definitely a cloak from whatever's out there. If the rabid cannibals or whatever they're talking about, because 18 months has happened, but honestly, in a real scenario, you're not gonna have like these mutated monsters. People are just gonna die, right?
Right.
So that's why I think they could be in hell. But I do think at the very least they are getting ready for the apocalypse. They are recruiting for the apocalypse and for when the world can't be inhabited by humans per se. They have their so-called backup plan or whatever, because you're gonna have to have minions. You're gonna have to have someone to rule over. A god needs someone to rule, right? You can't rule over the ashes. um that's I think that comes from Game of Thrones, but yeah.
And that's and I don't want to be queen of the ashes. And speaking of playing God, here we have Miss Venable, who's kind of trying to play God and create her own rules and do what she wants. And I love the little back and forth between her and Michael. And he's kind of, teasing her about this almost, like about making her own rules and doing what she likes and kind of trying to take over. Again with the no sex rule. And it makes me wonder, and we go back to the first episode when she kills Stu. That wasn't right. That wasn't the way it was supposed to be. By all accounts, he should still be alive. That was something that she decided, we're going to do this because we think it's funny, basically. So what else has she been doing or could be doing? Like, how much food is there really that we don't know about? Because they should have been out a long time ago if I'm paying attention right. They said 18-month supply, but they're still eating. So what the hell are they eating is what I want to
They
know.
are on half rations, and we don't see. That's the thing. So if it is a clone or an end, whatever it is, they get shot. We see the white, right? Um, so we know the first kid that got killed, they ate his ass. That's where they got that from and had them a good meal.
Stew,
Um,
stew, yeah.
so it's hard to wonder, but they are on like what, half rations now? Weren't they complaining about how low the
Yeah,
rations were
half
getting
rations
anyway?
and 1 meal a day. They started the 1 meal
So
a day a while ago. I know that.
they had been preparing for this. To be fair, they had been preparing for this for a while, is what they said. Uh, so the cooperative, which I think is a representative of something that a lot of people think is going to happen in the end times, that there's going to be a big corporation that runs the world and it's going to be headed by the Antichrist. Maybe, if Michael Langdon isn't the Antichrist, I will be lost. But I think he is. But I think right now they're getting ready for him to come on Earth. He come in a horse and carriage, an old style 1920s horse and carriage, drawn by two black horses. So I think you're right. Maybe the apocalypse did happen, but I think they were taken somewhere else because we didn't see them land. We didn't see how they got there. We didn't see how anyone got there. Okay, so I think they're in hell for preparation for the fight, the war against God, or for the takeover. Um, that's what I think. I think we're gonna find out some sick shit at the end that I'm still trying to figure out. But I think that's where they're going with this. It's almost training, and these people dying, they're not really dying. They're just going wherever else in hell. And I think Miss Venables may be a demon. Um,
Ooh, interesting.
yeah, and I think part of her hell punishment would be the spine thing. And that was something she was ashamed because it seems like he doesn't want people to be ashamed of their flaws, right? He wants them to embrace their flaws.
Right.
Like for instance, Miss Venables, he liked the fight about her, everything about her, except she would not embrace her flaws. And when Mr. Gallant, he wouldn't embrace his flaws. He's just too needy. He just puts on a front and isn't real. He wants real people. He doesn't want good people, I don't think, but he wants real people. He's looking for a certain type of person. I do think only a few are going to stay there, but it seems like if anyone's going to be the hero, it's going to be Timothy or maybe Emily, because we've seen how a lot of times people that act like Emily, that seem like they're starting to go down a bad path, end up being the hero, and the people that start off innocent end up being the worst. So I would say there's going to be a super dichotomy there between them two that's going to build up. But I don't know. Yeah, let's have
That's
some of your
really
thoughts
interesting
now.
too,
I'm
because
going.
she was actually found in jail, and he was found getting accepted into UCLA. So, you wouldn't think, okay, like first impression, okay, the girl that was found in a jail cell, okay, you think automatically she's a bad person. No, not necessarily the case. And the golden boy that got accepted into college, oh, he's going to be the good guy. First impression, no, not necessarily. So, yeah, I kind of like where you're going with that one. As far as Miss Venable being a demon, that's a very good point. I really like that. That would explain the spine a lot better than just scoliosis, too. And just her mean nature, I really, really like that. I hope that one happens. And if you look at the opening credits, too, we see a lot of demons and just a lot going on. And especially where we see the baby with the, finger going down it. I like that. I just really like that. Something you mentioned was the cooperative, and I'm probably going to get tongue tied here, so bear with me because I always do. Um, I really believe that the cooperative is actually part of the cooperation, or yeah, corporation. See, that's why I get tongue tied from the witch hunters in Coven. And we actually heard whenever Miss Venable challenged Michael and said, "This all happened because of all you men with your big corporations and all your money and running the country. You're the ones that did this, and you're the ones that caused this." And I think that kind of just validated it even more. And I was thinking this when they first mentioned it last week. And it makes me also think that they possibly might be in Atlanta or somewhere around there, which is where the corporation was in Coven when we seen Fiona Good and Marie Laveau, with the help of the Axeman, take out the board of directors. Now, all we seen was the board of directors wiped out. Stacy had mentioned that she thought maybe the school would have been one of the witch hunters' school for boys, which kind of would fit in because we know that this was a exclusive boys' school. Why it would be underground would make sense. And it just fits really good. And I kind of like the feel of it, especially with it would tie in with why the witches would be involved. It would also make sense with why the Vanderbilts, which is Coco is a Vanderbilt, why her father knew about it. She had no idea, but he had 4 places set aside for them. If he's involved and he's a Vanderbilt, that is definitely big money. Big corporations and all going on with them. And they were tied, the corporation in general was tied into all these major businesses around the world. Delphi Trust was the one that Hank's father was tied to in Atlanta. That was their face, it was just a front for the witch hunters. It makes a lot of sense with why they set it all up. They were preparing, they knew something was going to happen, they were preparing for the worst to cover their asses. It makes me wonder, and I'm actually curious now to go back and count how many were on the board of directors to see if that would fit in with the 12, I believe it was, that they said were the ones that were the brightest minds, that were the ones leading them through. I believe they called them the visionaries, I think, that were the head of this cooperative. And also in the corporation, Hank's father, I can't remember his name, bear with me, he had his right arm guy that was I don't know his name, but he had his strong right arm guy with him in the corporation too. So that would make sense in the cooperative, where Miss Venable associates herself as being the strong right arm of the cooperative. What are your thoughts as far as them possibly being associated with them?
You mean the witches associated with the cooperative, or what we're
The
seeing
witch
now
hunters being the cooperative.
I could see the witches being a threat to the apocalypse or the takeover. In a sense, to where they're not an evil organization. There's good and bad there, and they do have power. The witches, I believe, would have a way to survive the explosion. Maybe not a direct blast, but they would have a way to survive the fallout. They would have a backup plan, being from the coven, being, they do have sightseers, people that can see into the future. They would be prepared for something like this, I would think. And what would be awesome is if they were the protagonists in this, ended up being the protagonists in the series. And we could see something like that, because you usually will have a dark anti-hero protagonist. So sometimes you'll have the clean cut, but it ends up only being clean cut at the very end. So I do like that, because the witches could be a threat, for real. Yeah. I want to see some more Queenie too. Huh?
Oh yeah, no, Queenie will be back this season. We have, and for fact, this is another thing I was mentioning too, is during Murder House, the purple hat girl, the cokehead girl, that befriends Violet, they ended up actually friends, mentions, I believe it's from Revelations, that she said it talks about a 7-headed dragon that swallows up the child or whatever of the apocalypse. And it makes me think of Michael. But the 7 heads of the dragon made me think of the witches. And we actually have 7 witches coming in this season, which is Cordelia Good, Queenie, Stevie Nicks is coming back as the White Witch, Misty Day, Zoe, Myrtle Snow. I'm forgetting one.
I gotta rewatch.
Yeah, I'm forgetting somebody. Madison Montgomery's the other one I'm forgetting. So that's our 7 witches right there that will be back this season. My question is, how does Misty come back? Madison, I can see how they brought her back, but Misty, she basically dusted. Yeah, you definitely need to rewatch Coven, because there's a lot of stuff that'll tie in this season. With the whole 7 heads of the dragon, though, I can see them being that in that they were predicted already to be the ones to come in to swallow up Michael. It'll be
Mm.
their job to bring him down, basically.
And in bringing them down, they will usher in Satan into the new world.
Oh
Ooh.
yeah,
Ooh. What if I
yeah,
just called the ending right there? But
right.
that's the process that needs to happen in order to usher in the apocalypse. Oh, there we go.
That's crazy. I like that. Yeah, and we still got 2 more seasons after this. So, what comes after Apocalypse? Which brings us, let's get into the whole 9 circles of hell thing, because yeah, we got to figure out just where it all fits in with that too. And let's see, we got limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, anger, heresy, violence, fraud, and treachery. We can associate murder house with lust. Um, Gluttony, they say, I'm going to go with what they say, okay? I do not agree with Murder House being limbo at all, which someone has said online. No, no, no. Murder House is definitely associated with lust. If you go back and watch it, you will agree totally. Gluttony, they say, is hotel. Greed with freak show. Anger with Roanoke. Heresy is cult. Violence is still left open. Fraud is asylum, and treachery with coven. And it kind of fits really nicely when you just do a rewatch
See,
and think about those.
I think heresy with coven and treachery with cult because of the treachery that happened that began the whole process. And coven is a heresy in the Bible. As I don't know, the witches was such a big thing, but also you still got a witch. You got a witch in Roanoke too. So I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's the other way around. I definitely, and if you go and watch Coven 2, you need to rewatch Coven. And the witches are not evil. It has to do with intent. And they even talk about, like, Madison, and she's like the biggest bitch of them all, even says, I'm not doing this for demons and Satan and all that. And there are a lot of witches who believe in God. And, so that's a no, 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 and they're just very treacherous. It's all about they're fighting over who's going to be the next supreme, really, and it's a lot of chick fight stuff going on there. And especially with Fiona. Fiona is very conniving, and she is the reigning supreme at the beginning, with Jessica Lange, who was just, oh man, Jessica Lange is just so awesome. And so it does fit, and I can see why cult would be considered heresy in general. Any cults, really. Um, and yeah, I just started that one, and I'll say just how that whole season starts off, the very beginning. It made me laugh. Just and then they got into the clown stuff, and I had to send my cousin a link because she's terrified of clowns. So yeah, I'm just now starting that one now. That was the
That was my
first
least
season I
favorite
haven't
one,
watched.
though. I have to say, um, I didn't necessarily like that one. I can't lie.
Colt?
Yeah, it was okay. Other than that, I
Yeah.
like all the other ones though. Um, yeah. So I I haven't been able to count the levels inside the building, but I'm wondering if there are 9 levels in there. Do you know what I'm talking about? Inside where they're at,
Right. Yeah, I've
uh,
wondered the same thing.
and everything's in the circle manner. Even the archways are half circles, and you have a spiral maze going into the place. The circle is definitely a theme, and even in Dante's Inferno is kind of the way the maze and the spiral is. It almost kind of looks like that in certain drawings too, certain parts of it. Not like verbatim, but uh, they're definitely going for a theme here. And see, the pilots disappearing could be a rapture, which I don't think happened because you would have seen more people disappearing on the streets, right? They'd just be disappearing. Um, I think that, yeah, if it could have happened, but I think more than likely they're they're in limbo or in hell, and but they're not dead yet necessarily. But I think whatever's going on, they were able to be transported there.
Wouldn't it be interesting if this
But
season
they
was
did sign
actually
like a
limbo?
contract, right? And what if Timothy is Michael's son? And I know it's hard to say that, but he grew so fast. Like he was growing at an exponential rate. So we can't put that, and we don't know how fast Timothy grew. And it seemed like the way they said the DNA didn't match between him, Timothy, and his brother. Like that was
Right.
really like who's his father? You know?
His father was
Um,
really quick to give him up too.
yeah. So I'm thinking there's a murder house type situation going on there, maybe too. You can't say if they're twins or not, but I think we will see more backstory of people's lives as we're going on. We'll get flashbacks like we did of Mr. Gallant this week. So,
You know, it's really interesting that you mentioned the twins part because Vivian did actually have twins. The other one was a boy, and he died. He died at birth because Michael was taking all the nutrients in basically the alpha, and he died at birth. He was they thought he was stillborn, but it was mentioned by Nora that he let out one tiny little cry before he died, and he was left in murder house with Vivian, and Nora had him at first and then kind of handed him over to Vivian when she got tired of him, and she was thinking of names for him. So that would be kind of interesting if there was a way that he was brought to life and that was him. Because yes, Michael did grow really, really, really fast. I kind of like where you're going with this because his dad was really quick to hand him over and didn't question about his DNA or why there was a difference between him and his brother. It was just like, yes, here, take him, go. And that's something that has bothered me since the first episode is why. Um, and with Emily, we don't have any background to her. I have a kind of an idea, possibly, and that is with it associates with Roanoke, and I forget the woman's name, but it was played by Adina in it, and she had a daughter that disappeared when she was 4, and her name was Emily. We have no idea what happened to her. Her other daughter in the show ended up staying in the house with a little ghost girl, but the other daughter, when she was a cop that disappeared, that kind of started it all, her name was Emily, and we don't know what happened. It's called Whereabouts Unknown. So there is a little girl named Emily that the age would fit too. If we look at the timeline, it would fit just right with the age that Emily is now. But we have no idea any of her backstory with her family, with Emily at least. Any thoughts as to that?
well, I can see, I can totally see that.
Or are you stuck more
What
with
year?
maybe
What
their
year is?
Kit
What year?
Walkers?
What year was murder? What year was Roanoke supposedly?
Uh, Hang on and I'll tell you.
Because it seems like she might be too old. It just depends because it's
Well,
2021 right now or 2020 when we first saw her. And I would
well,
easily. Oh, go ahead.
okay. Well, it depends if you look at when Roanoke takes place in 2015, but Roanoke was when they they shot the TV show of actual
Oh,
events.
that works. That works. That means she could be like 16 to 18. So yeah, that fits. That fits.
Right.
That could be
And
her.
they
But
did it based on
what's
like
special
actual
about
events
her?
type sort of thing.
What's special about her is what we have to find out now. Because all these people there, like, but yeah, but what was special about Mr. Gallant's mom, except what's her name was playing her. Um, so I, and those two were put in a cage, right? They were put in a cage, not like the other people, and they were put in a cage to get close together to where they could talk. It's all about them two, for sure. Uh, and I
Um,
wonder if
go
they
ahead.
have to make a child for Satan to come into the realm. So if that's like, let's say Michael had a child, like, because they don't go completely with the lore, they kind of make up their own lore. So if Michael had a child, what if that child has to conceive in hell with a certain person, like some kind of ritualistic conception, to where there can be a physical version of Satan on Earth, if that makes
Oh,
any sense.
no, it does. I think it totally has to do with Emily and Timothy conceiving a child. 100%. I've thought that since it first showed just them two, because it only had them two. They had them empty cells there when they first got them in that bunker. Why not put other people there? If it's just them two, it makes me think that that's what it's about. And I honestly wonder if they're going to go with a maybe even twins with the whole Cain and Abel theme. I want to stop for a second, real quick. We have a question from Lauren's Corner.
I was just
When
about to
it
say that.
Yeah, when it comes to the baby situation, do you think it might have something to do similar to the paranormal activity where the witches take babies for their coven? Okay, now in Coven, we had the Marie Laveau, who was the voodoo queen. She was the one that was taking the babies, and the reason that she was did it is because she had to deal with Papa Legba, which is a voodoo thing. He's basically like he's a god in the underworld, let's say. And it was a deal for her immortality, where she had to bring an innocent soul to him every year to continue her immortality. So that innocent soul that she got is she was stealing babies. It started with her own child, and it continued every year with another innocent soul. They sacrificed Nan. That's why Fiona was trying to make the same deal with him. She was only regular witch that was trying to do that, but he told her she had no soul. So that's why it didn't work for her. But they still tried with Nan to do that, and Nan just ended up moving on to the underworld with him. Think of him kind of like the Hades of voodoo. Um, but they weren't doing the babies in general for just witches in general. Um, so yeah, not
I
so
think we
much.
might. Okay, we could see Papa Legba again. He is a
Oh yeah,
crossroads demon. Lauren's Corner makes a good point. He is a crossroads demon.
oh
Uh,
yeah. No, he is a crossroads demon.
for sure. He could be
Yes, he is
almost
just like
closer
Saint Peter.
to
That is a
like
very good one. In
River
fact, a lot
Styx.
of people in
Oh,
voodoo use. Oh, I'm sorry, Johnny. I'm sorry. A
I'm
lot of
just thinking
people.
about the River Styx and the gatekeeper. And I can't remember the name of the mythological figure that oars the boat, that ferries the boat across the River Styx to Hades. But go ahead with your thought. I'm sorry.
No, in voodoo, they use Saint Peter a lot to represent him. Like they use statues and candles and all to channel him. Um, so it's kind of funny that you did mention Saint Peter. It's the same idea. He holds the key to the crossroads. I think we might see him. Something I'm wondering now is if this season might actually be the representation. This might be our limbo. What if they're all already dead and just hanging out in limbo already?
The
Because we,
people that disappeared went to heaven or whatever, and they're dead and in hell. I
right.
do. The only thing that makes me question that is the androids or the replicas, whatever you want to call them. We don't really have a word for them so far. We just found out literally at the end of this episode that we got another freaking twist that so I don't know that they're dead yet. Like certain people there might be dead already, like Miss Venables or whatever. But I guess a demon isn't really dead. I mean, it depends on what you want to define as dead, because in American Horror Story, dead isn't really dead, uh, especially if it's a place of power where. And we'll see if any of these spirits that have died can come back. If they don't, it makes me wonder what's going on there. Because it has to be a place that casts out this controlled spiritually and physically. So I don't know. That's a good thought. Yeah.
It would make sense with Timothy, like you mentioned, being possibly Michael's twin. That would fit perfect for him. That would fit perfect for Emily being the Roanoke Emily. I kind of am liking that idea. Actually, it's got my wheels turning now. I'm kind of starting to wonder about the limbo, and it would also fit with why Michael's there to judge them. If he's there for their cooperating, to decide who can go on to the sanctuary, and the sanctuaries where they'll be protected and they will survive, then maybe he's there to decide who actually gets to live or even move on, or who's going to not, basically stay in hell, Uh, that's something just to think about, because we have limbo still lingering out there, and I think violence is the other one.
Cause see,
Yeah,
I could say, well, he's preparing his army to fight against God, but I don't see them doing that in American Horror Story. I don't see them actually bringing God down to fight. Um, so yeah, it's got to be more complicated than that. Mm. It's some, I do think Michael will gain more power from this as well. It's not just it's about them, but I feel like we'll see Michael might die this season, but if he does, there's going to be a consequence to it, or it's going to usher in something even worse. Um, my wheels are spinning so hard right now, though, because we've got so deep into this.
I know, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Set up another scene real quick. Let me. Maybe we can come back to
Okay,
this.
let me say this little thought really quick. It would kind of make for an exciting season 9, because they could kind of do like if it does kind of usher in the end of day sort of thing, like you're talking, it could bring season 9 a violence theme with like a hell on earth. That would be kind of really cool. Um, Warren, real quick, where you were asking about the rubber suit guy, yeah, we were talking about that earlier. We think that could possibly be Satan, the devil, however you want to call him, or maybe the association with Tate. We're wondering about how it might associate with Tate Langdon from season 1. And we're even wondering if when Tate Langdon in season 1, if it was the devil back then, because he doesn't have memories of certain things that he done, such as raping Vivian. Whenever he shot up the school, he don't remember so much. And just things that he did, it's like something else took control of him. Which I want to bring up too, real quick, on the last episode when Michael flashed his credentials. Did you notice that it said Lucifer signing in at the bottom under his signature? Did you catch that part?
Oh, so no, I didn't see that part. So it did say Lucifer at the bottom.
Oh yeah, that signed the bottom of his credentials. Had his signature, and right under it, it says Lucifer.
Then, then he's. Then how could it be the Antichrist? I know in 2 episodes the name of the episode is Enter. Is it Satan? Um, would that mean that somehow they're gonna make it where Timothy's the Antichrist? And then they're throwing us for a loop with the Michael Langdon thing, and they're making us completely think that, oh yeah, he's definitely the Antichrist. But when you see that it says Lucifer, maybe he is Timothy's father.
Oh no! It had Michael's signature, and then under it, like
I got
yeah,
you.
then it said
Okay,
Lucifer.
you
Like
about
in
blew
other
my
words,
mind.
like that was his superior or something.
I got you. So okay, We're on the okay. I'm on the right track then. Okay, it didn't throw me off of my. I thought I had to revamp everything I was thinking after that, but yeah, okay. And I think we're gonna see Satan come. He's got to make sure that his son, for one, is gonna do right, and I think Tate is attached to Michael Langdon. There's no way it can't be. He is his father, as well as Lucifer being his father. Because see, in the in the lore of the show and other canons of religion, it's when a spirit has sex with a living being and conceives a baby. It's not when the devil has sex with a spirit. Now, did the devil compel him to? Yes, but that's why um, I think that that part of that ritual was possibly Michael calling upon his father for stuff. I think it's like an extension of Michael, and then wherever Michael goes, Tate slash the Rubber Man is there. Uh, there could be some manipulation of Tate because we see how Tate can be manipulated and how manipulative Michael is. Is my volume low? I think it's low. Sorry, but
Not too bad, not too bad.
we see the manipulation there, and we know how easily Tate can be manipulated. So, could he be given the thing? Could he be given a sense of where? Oh, I kind of lost my thought. Yeah, it would be almost like he was beholden to him to protect him, like uh, almost made to protect him in a sense, almost like Michael's slave. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Like
Because
he
it's like
feels
he's
like
there
he
and he's
he
not
owes them.
there.
Right. Um, and
I froze.
I
Sorry,
think you froze up for a second there. There you go.
I'm back.
Let's bring up Gallant and his snitching Nana for a second. I think that where she kind of just turned on him and she was very judging and she was taking it upon herself to judge him, that basically ended up as her test ultimately that led to her death at the end of the episode. And I kind of think that we might have seen the last of her. Maybe we'll see her in flashbacks or something. But I think that's what basically ended up killing her is by being so judgmental. Snitches are bitches type thing, you know? She also turned on her own blood, which was kind of messed up in its own sense. What are your thoughts on that whole situation there?
So that would be. Hmm, I think she is being punished in a sense to where she's not material. Not that it's I think they're trying to give us the illusion that she's being judged, that people are actually being judged on like what they are, but it's more about dang it, Franco. Hold on.
Okay, so I'll go into what happened a little bit just in case you don't know. What we had here was Mr. Gallant kind of went and ended up his dear Nana caught him with Rubber Man having sex, and his judgmental little Nana decided that she was going to go snitch on him and get rid of him for breaking the rules, and went to Miriam Mead, told on him, and then at the end it kind of came back on her where his mind got messed with and he ended up killing his dear Nana. And he didn't even realize it was her. He thought he was going after the Rubber Man and was seeing things and didn't realize till after he had stabbed her multiple times with scissors that it was her. So he turned on his own blood, which I guess in a way was his own sort of sin too. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that plays. Go ahead, Johnny. I see you're back.
Well, I mean, not only that, he unzipped his grandmother's pants and stabbed her in the crotch. It wasn't even like a normal killing her. It was and the weirdness of it. I'm so glad they didn't show a flash of it being actually her laying there before he killed her. Right? That would have messed my head up really bad. But they make it so intense, and I do think I don't know if it's kinslaying necessarily because it's he didn't get punished for it, right? Not yet. So we
Not
don't
yet.
know.
Yeah.
He could approve. Michael could approve of that because we know he set it up to where she would get killed. He didn't like how the system's going on, this tattletale system. I think it's more of um, a trust thing than it is whether you killed your family or not. Because I think he's looking for that kind of violence. I think he's looking for things like that. That's just my dark mind.
Yeah. No, and no, I agree. I think he is looking for that sort of stuff. But just the way that she went and turned so easily on him over such a simple thing, she was just it went back to her being very judgmental and thinking it was the thinking she was better than him again, where he was talking earlier in the episode during his interview with the cooperating about the khakis and the little foo-foo dogs and the with the bachelor for gays as he called it, um, and she doesn't just accept him for him, and that kind of came back on her because she just seen him, and that's all it was her judging him. She didn't like what she saw, so she went and said, you know what, go ahead and kill him because I don't like it.
Like, she's a pretty awesome person. Awful, not awesome. I'm sorry, I don't know where that came from. She's a pretty awful person, but she's not the right kind of evil, if you think about it. Think about it. Not the right kind of evil. And maybe we'll start kind of watching the show. What is the right kind of evil that Lucifer would want? Because I don't think he wants a complete maniac that's uncontrollable. I think he wants a rational evil person. And then it's going to play into that somehow, but I believe they're molding, like I said, they're molding something there. And maybe they'll throw us off and it really is the apocalypse. But even though there still are molding, there still is a sole purpose for it. And they're running it. I don't know. He's only going to be there a couple of days too. So this is going to be really quick. So, and then is it next episode someone's arrived? Someone else is going to showing up in the mask?
Now they
I
keep
thought.
teasing us with the witches. They teased this last week and they teased this again for next week. So hopefully we'll get the witches. And they're showing them again on the preview. So we'll see. I'm not going to hold my breath again, but we'll see. Um,
They
yeah.
did show someone walking the streets and it being obliterated though. Like walking a normal city street that wasn't near the thing. But I do think we'll get to see the outside world if I mean even but hell, what would hell look like? Would it just be a horrible representation of the earth? Would everything still be there, you know? Like if you go to hell, your house is still there, but it's awful. So
And
I don't know. That's like we still can't determine where they're at dimensionally. I mean, you can say, but you can't tell me for sure unless I don't know, unless you're tweeting, DMing the writers. Then you can tell me for sure. Other than that, I honestly couldn't tell you, but I don't think it even matters to the point. It matters in the long game, but right now to what they're doing, I don't think it even matters what's happening on the outside. Not till later. But that's
and
my thoughts.
that's interesting too because we did see glimpses of hell through. different witches where they kind of got stuck in their own personal hell. Like Queenie, whenever she traveled down, she seen the where she was back in Detroit working at the chicken place, and the people that were stuck in line, they could smell the chicken that never got to eat it, you know. And then Fiona ended up in her own personal hell where she was stuck at the little fishing shack with the Axeman. That's where she ended up stuck after she died. So that was her hell. And even Marie Laveau, when she died, she went to hell and she was in the attic of Lollery, and she had to basically torture those people where she was torturing Lollery and her daughters and everything for all eternity. That's the price that she had to pay for her immortality that she had. So that was hell for them. So that's another question. Is it going to be more of a personal sort of hell that they're stuck in? Or is it going to be like we see it with the brimstone and fire going on? Or, you know, so that's a whole nother question that we have there. Um, let's talk about the music that we had this episode because we were talking about that a little bit. It was kind of funny because we had a little nod to X-Men there a little bit with the Time in a Bottle song playing for Quicksilver there. And Evan Peters does play Quicksilver in X-Men. And so that was just a little funny. And then it switched up to Gold Dust Woman by Fleetwood Mac. And if you pay attention to the words to that, I'm going to read you just a few of the lines because I think it's a little telling. First of all, it got me a little excited because I was thinking Stevie Nicks is coming, here come the witches, and we didn't get them yet. So, but it did tell us about, if you listen to the words, it says rulers make bad lovers. So it makes me think that Emily and Timothy are kind of meant to be some sort of rulers over the rest of them, maybe. It tells us about shattering your illusions of love. So maybe it is kind of a deceptive sort of love going on there. Maybe she's using him or something. It mentions pale shadow of a woman, pale shadow of a dragon. She's a dragon, gold dust woman. And the reason I wanted to mention that is because it mentions the dragon again, and it makes me think of the seven heads of the dragon. So it made me kind of wonder if there's some relation to Emily and
She's a witch.
the witches, and
She's got to
if
be a
that's going to
witch.
have anything to do with that. What were your thoughts as far as the music went with this episode?
We just made me think about something and why the witches may come there. Don't they come get one of their own? Get their own when they sense one?
Yeah,
Um,
they do actually.
and at
That
this
that could
point,
be a really good point.
um, and they would, hmm, that would make, oh. And Michael, knowing what needs to happen for the end to come, would try to draw them there, right?
If he
Oh,
needs their
shit.
power, I could see him needing their power, especially to summon. And he
Look at
has
D
witch's
here.
blood. Like I said, Constance definitely is a witch. If you watch some of the things that she does in Murder House, between the just spitting and stuff, the sage burning, just little things that she does, the fact that she can see and communicate with all the different spirits in the house on will, and she calls upon the spirits, and they show up at on just from her, like that, that's some things that a witch would do. So I definitely think that she is a witch, no contest. So that means that Michael's blood is witch's blood too. So they would sense him, especially someone with such strong power. So they would be called just by
Witch
what
blood and
he's doing.
spirit blood. Holy crap. That's good.
Mm.
That's some serious shit right there. And he comes with a natural eyeshadow right inside on this natural pink
Yeah.
eyeshadow. They come out during birth. I saw that in Murder House. He looked like that when he was born.
I forgot all about that too in Murder House. Yeah, he did have it at Murder House. That was kind of crazy looking. I wonder if that's like kind of just how it's read and all. I wonder if that's kind of like the devil part in him trying to come out. Like maybe we might see him transform even a little.
Yeah, we do. A lot of things we see like in the imagery they show in the lead up, doesn't we never really see too much of. We see something that's usually a metaphor of it, and I could see him transforming, especially he will become the one of the beast, right? The beast of the land, or is it the beast of the sea? One of them's the false prophet, and one of them's the antichrist, but I can't remember which one. Someone in the chat help me. But there's
That
the
brings to
beast of
question
the
who's going to
land,
be
and
our false prophet.
I don't know. Did we possibly already have one? Um, hmm. Oh goodness. And then it's not a question I can answer right now. I'm gonna have to rewatch some stuff. But yeah, there should be one, right? But it just depends. Because if there's a seven-headed dragon, then you would think there would be the beast of the land and the beast of the sea as well. So, I don't know. Um, yeah, I don't know. You can kind of segue to your own thoughts if you would like, because
Oh
that's
yeah,
got me
and
like
you
my
bring up
wheels
the
turning.
BCC. Yeah, you bring up the BCC. You'd think that we'd see some water somewhere, but they do mention that they're the outposts overseas too, and that we've actually closed the one in New York, the one in West Virginia, and the one in Texas here. So there is only the one left. This outpost 3 is the only one left in North America. So which ones do we have that are overseas is the question. Maybe that might be where the sea even comes into play. That's a very interesting thought there. Um, and yeah, I'm kind of digging that.
The Pope
And
would
you
be
mentioned,
overseas or something. If they go
yeah,
that route, I don't know if they'd go. Well, I don't know. They go some crazy routes. They went political last season, so and wouldn't put it past them. You know, you could have something go on with the Pope if. See, there seems to be like there would be. I don't know. We don't know enough about what's going on outside. It's hard to know because if there is, you know that the church has backups for this as well. So there's going to be some type of thing there if it's going on Earth. If it's in hell, all bets are off as to what's going on here. So I don't know.
that brings into play limbo again. If we are really in limbo, the church ain't going to have nothing to do with this. If we're on earth, then the church could actually play into it. If we're in limbo, we totally are dependent on the witches. The witches are the only one that can get there, and we know that they can, we'll call it astral projection. They can astral project themselves to hell. They've done it before. They had to do it for the 7 wonders. So for fact, that might be why we get to see Misty Day again, because she got stuck there. So that might be how they can be able to even bring her into this season again, is because she's still there. They might be going back to even get her back. That might be why they're there to begin with. That would be a good point there. Um, Something else that we have to think about is that we have Miss Miriam Mead, not Miss Venable. Miriam Mead, she was AI, for lack of a better word, when she got shot at the end by Timothy for their punishment, which I don't think will get carried out at all. I think Michael will probably stop that whenever he catches Miss Venable, and she'll probably be the one more punished than anything for taking it into her own hands yet again. But we see that she's kind of shocked that she is AI, and it's more of a surprise to her. She's wasting all these rations this entire time that could be spent on the other people, and who else is going to be AI? Does this mean that all the blacks are AI? Or are all the grays, the worker ants, going to be AI? Who exactly really is? That's going to be a whole nother level of just WTF going on. What do you think about that whole plot line, I guess?
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, purples are gonna be okay. They're if it's going on like we think it's going on, they've already integrated the synthetics into society. I think so. We could see any one of those people turn out to be a synthetic. I'm thinking, what's her name? The assistant, the that's a gray. I can't remember her name.
Mallory.
Mallory. I think she could be one. Because it seems like all of the pressure is being put on the purples, which I think the purples are the humans. But that goes against my theory of Timothy and Emily. But if Timothy is Michael's brother, then shit, all bets are off. And then they're trying to. Well, let's think of this: if they are in hell or limbo, then if you conceive a baby there, what the hell does that mean? You know. So, that has to be some weird stuff. Uh, hmm.
I like the idea of two
I,
ghosts conceiving a baby, though.
yeah, I just, I think, yeah, I think the purples are the humans, and then maybe one of the purples is the synthetic that we don't know about. Um, oh gosh, go ahead. Franco's about to take over.
Okay. um, and something I thought about is, well, with Mallory, you mentioned Mallory. I kind of think she's got a better chance of survival than Coco does. Honestly, I just think she's going to make it further than Coco will, because Coco just feels a little like she should be there just because she paid the money to be there. So
They don't
that
pay
alone makes
attention
me
to the
think she will.
grays. Think about it. They don't pay attention to them. They just go along and do their work. And when they hear that tap, they're off like robots. Think about it.
But Mallory's like, why haven't I been made a purple? I came here with you. I should be made a purple. Have you talked to Miss Venable yet? Have you done anything? And she's the only one that will speak up and really has a voice as far as the Greys are concerned, you know? So I kind of think that I could see her being the one to kill Coco even. I'm hoping that she does. I'd like to see that. I
Yeah, I
just
see
think
her
it'd be
poison
fun.
her. I think she's gonna poison her with an apple. Ooh,
With the apple?
that would be poetic for the Adam and Eve and the whole Garden of Eden original sin theme they're going on with. I think yeah, I could see some, or maybe like some freaking razor blades and an apple. Got to go dark with American Horror Story. Um, yeah. Oh man, but yeah, I could see because Kathy Bates' character, which I can never remember her name for some reason on there.
Miriam Mead.
Miriam. Um, she didn't know, right? So no one would know, and then it seems like whatever they do with the DNA transfers personality or whatever, but we don't know if they're even human either. We're assuming this. They could just be something completely different. So it makes just I don't know. Is that what demons look like when they're shot? Maybe. Maybe it's not even
Interesting.
synthetic. Maybe a demon, that thinks, they didn't know they were a demon, but maybe that's how they're comprised because they wouldn't be physically the same, I don't think. Um, and maybe she seems so shocked because she is a demon and didn't think she could get hurt. And when they're in limbo, maybe they can get hurt. Or when they're on Earth, maybe they can actually physically get hurt since the end times have happened. So maybe that's why she was shocked. Maybe it wasn't that she was shocked that she was whatever whatever that is. But now that I think about it, what if that's what a demon is? And Chrissy can say she's definitely a robot, but there were no robotic parts. Um, it was just, you're thinking Westworld. I don't think they're going to use the milk from Westworld in American Horror Story. I think it's going to be a different twist than that. I don't think they're just simply robots. If they do that, that's going to be some bad timing of writing because you wouldn't want to do that not long after the season finale of Westworld, right? You wouldn't want to do that as a writer to make them like, But they could have different bodies or be a synthetic, but not a robot. Um, like we were talking about earlier, if they want to survive in a post apocalyptic world, a synthetic body would be the best way to survive because you wouldn't have to worry about the nuclear fallout or anything. Um, but yeah, we're only 2 episodes in, so I mean, the first thing they're going to want you to think is probably not what it is, right? That's how they work. At least they try to. So everybody thinks it's a robot. Everybody thinks it's this. So maybe it's not. You can. So when I looked at it, it looked like a human body, but everything was just a different color. Everything was white. The blood was white. That's
Something that Stacy said, and me and Stacy actually recorded our first impressions right after the show, and I'm going to put that up for you guys. It kind of has some editing issues, but just bear with me and enjoy it the way it is, please, because there's some interesting stuff in there. We talk about some stuff, but something she says is it reminded her of Terminator. And her first impression was she thought it was a breast implant when she first seen it. And the first thing I thought Dolores from Westworld, because you guys are bringing up Westworld here. And I'm like, someone called Bernard, she's got critical cortical levels, going on. And yeah, it was just really crazy. And I kind of got that robot feel from her, and that's what I'm thinking is AI. But the demon thing, here's my problem with that. I mean, that is interesting, but I don't see it because it was like very white and milky looking, right? So if it was demon like, because like, all right, when you got the promos and the opening credits and stuff, you see a lot of demon pictures, right? And you see the black fingernails, right? And the black horns. So that makes me think that their bones and stuff would be black. I wouldn't think that it would be all that white, creamy looking stuff going on the inside that she had. I would think it would be more darker, like the fingernails and all going on. My fingernails are actually red. I know they look really dark right now. And so I'm kind of leaning more with the AI, but that is kind of an interesting way to look at it too, because what exactly is she? We know that she is part of the cooperative and has been for as long as she can remember. That's who she owes everything to. But we also see all these other people that work for the cooperative, like the two security people that came in, picked up Timothy, the ones that transported him to the outpost. They reminded me a lot of the albinos that worked for the witches, but different. We did see the same type of guys that were security for the witch hunters in the same sort of outfits and suits and all going on. I don't remember any women, but we did have the one woman that came and picked up Timothy. But it just makes me think that I could see them employing military type people, and she seems to have a military, or at least memories of a military background. What if maybe there's some sort of I hate to use cyborg as a way to put it, but maybe some resurrected sort of soldiers, fallen soldiers who they've healed up some way and kind of got working for them in some way like that.
I could see that. I kind of think that just a shout out, Lawrence Corner, Philip K. Dix, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Hashtag one of my favorite movies, the original Blade Runner. Um, the, it makes the only reason I want to throw something different out there because it makes the cooperative's motives a little too clear for me if she's just a android. Does that make sense? Makes
Yeah,
me automatically kind of know where they're going with this, and I don't think they're gonna do that because they usually don't let you know where they're going. It's a lot of throw off in the beginning. Could she still be some type of copy? Yeah, but then that means everything they're doing is testing people's DNA to make a copy of them so they can take over the world or whatever, live on the earth. Or is it just that the ones they need for slaves they're making like that? But I don't know. I don't know. You know, when a what is a demon anyway, really, in this show, not in literary history. In this show, it's, they blur the lines of lore and fantasy and what is in the past because how their take on ghosts is completely different than how anybody's take on ghosts are. Their take on a lot of things is completely different. So we have to take it with a grain of salt. I do think there's some kind of clone slash uh, synthetic DNA makeup, but I'm hoping for a little more than that. That's all. And then,
They're
yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Oh. They're actually even in our own history. There's people out there that are demonologists that go and work to banish these dark energies from people, places, um, and different things. There's places that are considered portals to hell around the different places in the world. It's kind of terrifying act exists and happens, but it does around the world. Even this day and age, it's still going on. I don't know if any of you ever watched Ghost Hunters on Sci-Fi, but there used to be these two guys that were twins on it, and one of them was a demonologist. I forget his name, but he used to do a lot of works with taps. There are people even in this day though, and The Exorcist was actually based on someone in real life that had a demon possessing them or whatever going on.
Yeah, a young boy.
Yeah.
Happened in
So
St. Most of it happened in St. Louis, but it started in other places. Yeah, that's a very interesting story we can get into later.
yeah. So yeah, there's some crazy stuff that goes on in this world that people don't think happens, but you'd be surprised. There's shit going on. Um, let's see. What haven't we covered yet? Any thoughts?
I would say Lauren's Corner has some good thoughts, and so does Chrissy, if you wanted to read them off.
Let's see. Yeah. She can. Lauren was talking about she can live forever, but she's been taken from the clutches of Papa Legba, so she needs to be repaired from the damage he has made her endure. I really like that, making her a slave, unflinching to death and killing, lives to serve for power and prestige. That is a very good point to make because, yeah, she could be exactly that. It could be where she's been previously damaged and stuff. Same idea as, like I was mentioning, the soldier, but instead of being repaired by the cooperative, being repaired by Papa Legba. I like that. Yeah, the killing being, Chrissy says about being the killing being in their DNA. And yeah, I also thought about her being a descendant of the butcher woman from Roanoke. I'm kind of wondering exactly if maybe the reason that they're playing all these associated characters is if because the associated characters are related. Like you said, her being related to the butcher in Roanoke, if that's just coincidence that they look alike, or if it's because they're related through their bloodlines. Same with how we have Sarah Paulson playing all these different characters. Is it because she just likes to play all the different characters, or because they're related through their bloodlines? That's something interesting to think about, guys. Um, Again, with the Tate Langdon, Tate is Evan Peters is playing Tate Langdon. and he's playing Mr. Gallant. Does that mean that he could possibly be related through their bloodlines also? We have Madison Montgomery and Charles Montgomery that are related. We know that. And he was in Murder House, and she is in Coven, and she is from Los Angeles. There's a lot of ties to Los Angeles. There's a lot of ties to Massachusetts with Salem and just Massachusetts in general. That's where Ben and Vivian and Violet originally came from, was Massachusetts, and then they moved to Los Angeles for Murder House. Um, the connections with just all these places are amazing. And then we go to New Orleans and then Florida for Jupiter with the Freak Show. And Roanoke, of course, is mentioned all throughout the series. If you just go back and rewatch, you'd be shocked at how much we mention them. And something mentioned Roanoke again. We seen where in Murder House, Violet tries to banish the ghost with the whole Croatoan. She does not say it in front of Tate. I think there's a reason behind that. I think it might be used in this season to banish Michael or the devil or something here, because the fact she didn't say it around Tate, she tried to use it to banish the gay couple, and they just kind of laughed at her like, oh, that doesn't work. But it worked back in Roanoke all those years ago, and that was the last time it supposedly worked. I think there's a reason. I think it needs the
What if it's a
powerful
code
witches to work.
word for the synthetics?
Ooh, to trigger them.
Hold on, before we get into too much of those thoughts, I had a good thought. Oh, and I lost it because somebody came in the door. But like, um, where were we at? With you were talking about how dang it, fill me in with where you were at the end, because I had something good and then somebody busted in the door. Sorry.
That's okay. With the now I gotta try and do it. With the ties with Roanoke and the whole Croatoan, and about how it might tie into this season where it didn't banish the ghosts in Murder House, but I think it might tie into this season because it might need the powerful witches and the blood ties.
Tate is what I was going to bring up. Okay, Chrissy said earlier, I don't know if she was here when we were talking about Tate and the Rubber Man, that she thought the Rubber Man was a demon. Maybe. Um, I think the Rubber Man is possibly Tate slash Michael's father. Um, and he's going to play into this. And it seems like he's a spirit of sorts. And yeah, he could be a demon. That would make sense with the ritual, but it also makes sense. The ritual seems to have done something else. I don't think the ritual brought the Rubber Man out. I think it's possible that it did, but it seems like the ritual started a sequence of events with the snakes, and that's it. Because if you slow down and pause the scene, you'll see the snakes just going out, and that's all that's really happening. I think they're tying it in to kind of confuse us, to make us think he's calling on the Rubber Man, when I think the Rubber Man, which is his father, is attached to him. That's kind of my thoughts on that. As far as you made so many good points with the Roanoke and the Croatoan thing, but what worked on Tate was telling him just to go away. She didn't want to see him anymore, to leave her alone with the daughter in the first season. I got to get all the names right. Sorry, everyone. Um, and the Croatoan thing, I think you have to do more than just say it. It was carved on a tree as well, and there
You
was
had to
some,
have a personal item, something that
yeah,
belonged to them.
right, and well, there's also more of a ritual than that. I think it felt like. I know it seemed to have worked in Roanoke the way they did, but I feel like the way the Native Americans did it was completely different than the way it ever got really done. I don't know. There seems to be something off about it. But you're
That's
right.
why I
Maybe
think it didn't work. Go ahead.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
maybe it can only be done against evil spirits. Well, see, I don't know. Can't say that as well. You can't say the gay couple. What? I don't know if they were evil, but they weren't nice people. So I don't know. Um, that's something definitely too. I mean, that's a very good point. I mean, this got me really thinking. I'm trying to add some thoughts to it, but it's and especially if Emily's from Roanoke, like you think, that can definitely play out. Definitely, because she would possibly remember something, even if she doesn't now. I think we're gonna get people remembering things and flashbacks. So I don't know. We'll find out. I think that's really good. Where did it?
That's why.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, that's why I think they need the witches, because when you see the flashback of when the Native Americans did it, it was kind of a medicine man that was running the ritual, which would make sense. It would be a medicine man that did it, a shaman that did it. He would be the one doing it, and they put the personal items in the fire, so they had to burn the personal items, and then it had to be power behind
What's her
and
name was
staying.
dead when she did it too. She was dead when she did it, so it probably won't work if you're dead and try to do it. I just thought about that. When she did it, she was
Yeah,
dead. You
yeah,
can't
she
do it
didn't
if
know
you're
she was
dead.
dead either.
That was probably the problem. That's why it worked. And
Good
Lauren made a
point.
good
That's a good
point.
point.
Um,
Um,
that it is a prison and full of spirits, but yeah, I also think it's because she is a spirit, and a spirit can't do a physical ritual like that. It doesn't have the power behind it. I don't think. Yeah, go ahead.
right. I want to bring up something Lauren said too. Where she had the impression that Constance knew Billy Dean more than we were led to believe. Yes, she did. It mentioned that she and Billy Dean were actually friends, that she found her on Craigslist, and she was the only legit medium that she found, and she had been contacting her for a long time. In other words, to so that she could try it. She was trying to get Tate to go to peace, basically, and she had been using her to contact him for some time now. Where she said, Lauren had also said, is Lady Gaga another version of Jessica Lange's character? And if there was a connection between Gaga being the Supreme in Roanoke and Jessica Lange being the Supreme in Coven. That is a good point right there. I really like that. I really like that. And that could be, Gaga could be like the younger version of Jessica Lange, even. I know that in Coven, we seen, I don't know the actress's name, but she played Freya on the originals, which was kind of funny because she was another witch in New Orleans there. But that would be like a cool version of seeing Jessica Lange as, a younger version looking. But we know that Fiona is descended from those witches. So that would be a really cool bloodline for her to descend from, especially because we know that she was royalty. Her and her daughter Cordelia are considered of royal bloodlines. What higher royal bloodline is there than the original Supreme in Roanoke? So that is a really, really good point, Lauren. I like that.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to think. It's like all the scenes have kind of melded together now that we went down this crazy rabbit hole. Where like it basically, how did it end this episode? Was it with the stabbing, um,
Yeah.
and then the shooting at the end, and they were in the. So we still don't. We know that are they gonna get away and run? Like I feel like they might could get away and run, and then we will find out soon. The tumors on the horses give me pause, but I do think they're gonna try to run. But can they get out? Do they know how to get out?
Well, that could also be a creation of Michael's too. That could be something that he put on the horses, or glamored rather on the horses, even to throw them off. We don't know. And where you mentioned earlier on the preview where we seen someone running on the street outside, that could be Emily and Timothy on the outside. We don't know yet.
Hmm. Yeah. Something's up with his DNA because he was pulled for DNA. And I think she was pulled for DNA too. The others were not pulled for DNA. The others got on a vault, a package, or whatever. Those two were pulled for DNA. Are they not susceptible to nuclear fallout because of some kind of blood they have that may be connected to Michael or some other powerful entity that has yet to be named? Um, it really makes you wonder. Um, I don't
Well,
know, but it seems like the scene. If he was that if Michael was gonna be that protective over them, that he would have intervened in in the scene where they were about to get killed. So I don't know.
Well, it seems like he left that laptop open for them to see the emails, kind of like he knew what was going on. He didn't mess with them when they were in the room, or whoever was in the Rubber Man outfit didn't mess with them. So they were untouchable. Now, there's also another theory going around out there that they could be descendants of Kit Walker, Bloodyface from Asylum, which would give them alien DNA. So that could possibly be why their DNA is so special. If that's the case, that puts them in a whole new category as far as why they're so special and why they would have special immunities. That just, yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms right there to open.
I say
Um,
we get into that next week because I'm gonna rewatch Asylum because there's something to the aliens because they only briefly flashed them and briefly showed them, and I think it's gonna play into the long game for sure. Is that what a demon looks like? Because we've seen the fingers on the baby, kind of looks reminiscent of kind of what the alien hands kind of look like too. So is it even aliens? Like that's we're assuming it's aliens. We think it's aliens, but is it aliens or is it just maybe a creature from another dimension? Not even a demon. There could be all these crazy factors they could play with. That's why I love the show because there's so much they can do with it, and they do so much with it. They don't stick with the classic tropes. They push it to the limit. Sometimes it's a little far, but they make up for it when it does go a little far. So I can't complain. I love the show. Yeah, it's yeah, that's some food for thought. We're gonna have to think on this because yeah, I can't wait for the next one.
I'd
Next
like to
next
bring up
week.
something that Lauren mentioned, and it was, did you notice that it was an Apple laptop, i.e., the Apple of knowledge? So there's
Yes.
Eve tempting with the apple right there. So that's our apple that we were looking for.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because I'm like, where the hell are they going to get an apple in the middle of nuclear winter? They're lucky they found the snakes, you know? So that's brilliant. I was trying to figure out just how it was charged in general. Where's
Yeah,
the
but we
electricity coming from?
yeah, them fuckers they're in hell. No,
Right?
but we do know where the snakes came from now though. So there wasn't nothing up above. Also, yeah, a Black Mirror Adam and Eve scenario for sure. Oh
Another
goodness.
great show, by the way. If you're not watching that one, check it out.
Yeah, that show mess your head up. Anyways, go ahead.
I like shows that screw with your head. They're a lot of fun. You were mentioning too the whole parallel dimension, so to speak. That's something else that we do find a lot, and you can find actually a lot about that on the internet, interweb, about different parallel universes and stuff, and how they kind of mesh into our world. And something kind of really creepy, and I have to find a link for it and put it up on here. Um, Google, I know there's one in Google, and I think NASA has the other one. They've actually created machines now that are mimicking these parallel dimensions to where you can start going into them and creating your own basically. And it's a for real computer, and you go into them and just make your own. And it's really, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm going to find this video and put it up there for you. But this is something that scientists and physicists are actually doing and toying with now. And I've heard about how there's different places on Earth where you can kind of fall into them. And there's theories about that ghosts are not really ghosts, but they're just kind of trapped in these parallel dimensions. instead of actually fully crossing over, sort of thing, which is another interesting type of theory, but to think that scientists are actually out there creating and playing with those, that's a whole nother kind of scary out there, to think that there's all these endless possibilities of yourself just by little ripples. Like, instead of me going like this, I go like this, and the possibilities, endless possibilities that it can create. It's just, it's scary is what it is. It really is. And to think that there's people out there toying with it. Um, that's something to keep in mind, just going ahead in future episodes too.
Yeah.
I like that you mentioned that. Go ahead.
No, for sure. I think that kind of sums it up really well. Uh, we've pretty much laid everything out, what we think is going to happen, what we think about this episode. Uh, Actually had a fantastic time. It was great. Very riveting conversation. I appreciate it a lot. Um, I actually can't wait for the next episode to come on now. It's just a perfect time of year too. And what, All Hallows Eve next week, or the Devil's Night next week. So that should be a fantastic episode. They always do good episodes when they do a Devil's Night episode. Even though it's not technically on the Devil's Night, it is in that world. Because
Oh,
wasn't it
yes, exactly.
October 20th, 2021, when they looked at that laptop? I think that's what I saw. I think it was October 20th, 2021. So,
My
yeah.
husband's birthday.
Oh, snap. Ah, happy birthday, 2021.
Right? He's going, no, I'll be older then. um, yeah, definitely. I can't wait, because they always do really good Devil's Night and really good Halloween episodes. And I kind of think that's what the next episode will be after that. This week's episode is called Forbidden Fruit. So, yeah, makes me think about that computer some more and what else we'll find on it. And it makes me think of what else will be going on in the bedroom between Emily and Timothy. I think we'll kind of pick up with that shooting that we had at the end and maybe the consequences of it. And I kind of can't wait to see what Michael does, because he didn't agree with that no sex rule. That was something Miss Venable took into her own hands, not her old hands. Um, Johnny, I thank you so much for joining me. It's been really fun talking to you about this. Guys, I will put up mine and Stacy's first impression. She was in California this weekend, so she wasn't able to join me. We did record, though. Please excuse the sloppy recording, and my editing did not like me, so yeah, please just excuse that. Johnny, you want to give some shout outs real quick?
Yeah, with Lawrence Corner and Chrissy of Old Stones and Living My Rhapsody and AU Pack Mule and Reese and someone named Brandon. Don't know who that guy is. He loves Soylent Green, though. Um, Human Time. Yes, I got that reference. They're eating us. They're eating humans. I don't know if you remember that movie, Soylent. Do you remember that, Ray?
Yeah, I do. He
Okay.
reminds me about it all the time.
You're going silent on me, so I was like feeling dumb for a second. But I know we had a few other people, but chat only let me go up so far. I just want to thank everyone for coming out. We love you guys. Um, we love American Horror Story, but we don't do that in our off time, so don't worry. I'm not that crazy.
And yes, thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I guess I'll plug my stuff. I forgot. Follow Johnny Be Crazy, and then the Cylon Johns on YouTube, and then follow me on Twitter at Johnny Be Crazy JBC, and then also follow me on Instagram at Johnny Be Crazy, all lowercase, and that's pretty much it. And I'll be doing a stream Monday on LMR's channel on Westworld season 1 wrap up and review. Should be around 8 Central Time. And that's it.
And I'm Revengeance. Check me out on here. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, all around. We'll be doing some more on this. We'll be doing it every Saturday at 8. We're going to try and keep that time. We'll be doing some gifted hopefully soon. If Johnny will get on the ball with that one, him and me and BBM, hopefully we'll be doing that one real soon. And I will be doing a Daenerys chat with him very soon. I think that's the Nooners one, ain't that?
Yeah,
Nooners?
we're gonna try to do that this week. Um, might have 2 streams on Thursday because I want to do a Bernard and a Danny this week, but I don't know if I can make Tuesday yet. Either way, we're doing Danny for sure this week. So yeah, probably Thursday though. Earlier Thursday, if that's good with you.
Oh yeah, that's good with me. As long as I can get the kids from the bus stop when it's time, then I'm open. So yeah, definitely good with me. And any time to talk about Daenerys is a good time. So yes, and yeah, like I said, we'll definitely be doing this again, and I hope to see you guys there. I thank you so much for joining us. I'm Revengeance. Check us out again real soon. Thank you guys for joining us, and I hope you check out American Horror Story. It's really awesome. Check out the other seasons too because they do relate. Take care and be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. Love you guys.